Hello and welcome to predictocast, the podcast where we predict a movie storyline after watching only the first 10 minutes and knowing nothing else about it. I'm Josh, and with me as always is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody.
If you listened to our mini episode last week, then you'll know that this is our 100th movie on the main feed, not including Patreon or any weird bonuses that we've done.
And songs and books,
Yes,
TV specials.
Yes, exactly.
WikiHow articles.
But it's a big moment for us to get to this big milestone, and we wanted to do something very special. That's why this week on the show we are covering 1993's Distant Cousins, and.
I'm just thinking, like, how many shows, like, oh, we've reached episode 100, and
well,
we're going
to do not episode 100,
or
to be
movie
fair.
100 or something. Like, oh, we're going to do this special movie. We're doing Back to the Future. We're doing Phantom Menace. We're doing Jurassic Park. We're doing what?
Distant Cousins, what? Distant Cousins, also known as Desperate Motive. It says that it's a TV movie, although the profanity in here, man, they used to be able to get away with a bit more on early 90s television, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I looked up Mark Helgenberger's filmography on Wikipedia because I wanted to know when this took place in reference to when Tommy Knockers was released.
Okay.
Because that's very important to me. And it's same year. Saying this is Tommy Knockers, Mark Helgenberger, for all you fans of Tommy Knockers, the television movie. However, it is not under her television section of her filmography. It is under the movie section.
Okay. Well, but movies are still they could still technically be TV movies.
But Tommy Knockers is a television film and is on the other list.
But that's like, isn't that like a two-parter kind of made for TV movie?
It's made for me, honestly.
So this film is written by Pierre David, who came up with the story. C. Courtney Joyner wrote the screenplay, but Pierre David we should talk about just a little bit because he has produced a ton of films, so many films. Probably
just look down his list, and Distant Cousins does not say TV movie next to it.
Okay, fair. But he has produced Scanners, Videodrome, Platoon, like some big stuff and also some not so big stuff. There are quite a few things on here that I've never heard of that are all TV movies and would probably make perfect fodder for our show.
I love that he did Scanners, and what I don't remember, Scanner Cop and Scanner Cop 2. What is Scanner Cop?
Scanner Cop is something that looks like I would want to watch. So let's not read too much into it because maybe one day we'll cover it on this show.
What? So anything else that really jumps out at you from this list?
Let's see. The one big thing that jumped out at me, and the reason that it again, I brought it up on the mini episode last week about how this movie came out the day before my 8th birthday. Pierre David and I, we share a birthday.
So basically, you deserve a cut of all 198 credits that he has, including the upcoming pre-production Scanners reboot.
And he's also from Canada. So you deserve something.
I do. We're basically cousins, distant cousins. What is Murdered at 17, Zombie at 17, and Terrified at 17?
It's a trilogy of films.
And there's also Pregnant at 17, Guilty at 17, Missing at 17, Stalked at 17, Fugitive at 17, Betrayed at 17, Accused at 17, Dead at 17. I'm not making any of these up.
No, these are all real movies that Pierre David, the writer of this film, or at least the person who came up with the story, is responsible for. So, good company here. I'm very excited with that pedigree that he has. I'm excited for Distant Cousins.
Also executive producer on Pin.
What? I totally missed that. Oh my God. That's
that is
amazing.
so we talked about the mini how this movie we picked it because our first movie we ever did back in February 2017 was Cousins, starring CSI veterans like also Mark Helgenberger. We love our stupid little tie-ins. However, Pin is basically our most infamous episode. We did 2 things on it. I own a pin of Pin now. This man executively produced it into existence.
That is true. Yeah, that is, I think, we kind of put that up as one of our like top episodes and sort of like top movies that we've covered on the show. And if you're curious if our thoughts have evolved on Pin in any way, or if we've changed our mind about anything about the film, just stay tuned. That's all I'll say. But yeah, so he's done a lot. That's amazing that he's done Pin. I'm so excited now that we are doing this because, I mean, granted, I understand, producers and executive producers don't really do a lot in terms of, making the movie, but his name is still on it. He's still connected to it. And that's enough for me, honestly.
I mean, it means it is in line of so many probably mildly entertaining, constantly moving, thin, flimsy premise action thrillers. And that's kind of what we want here. This movie, though, starts as a Dennis the Menace movie, which is funny because today my daughter, who's never watched Dennis the Menace, clearly would never have watched a cartoon of Dennis the Menace, would never have read a comic strip of Dennis the Menace in 2020. It was my wife mentioned Dennis the Menace to her and kind of gave her a brief overview of what it was like. And she mentioned things that if it was made today, what a Dennis the Menace would do to an old man who he was torturing. And she goes, maybe he would go to her house, to his house, and steal his Wi-Fi.
So we open with about 2 minutes of credits, just white text on a black screen, while some very cheap sounding sort of synth piano plays, and we open with some cops speeding up. Well, not speeding exactly, sort of driving a little faster than normal up to a curb with their lights on, and they both hop out of the car. One goes around the back, the other goes to the front, and they've gotten a call about a disturbance. The cop around the front, he hears something break, so he radios in. He's like, "Well, I heard something crash. I'm going in," and he kicks in the door. And he finds a little robot dinosaur walking around with cords wrapped around it, knocking lamps off of tables. What is this?
It's this remote. He has 2 remote control robots, and they're just literally like this kind of toys on top of wheels. Like they're really basic, but they have a speaker on it so he can insult the cop from outside. And he insists afterwards that, like, Anakin Skywalker, he made these himself, which he didn't. He doesn't have a plastic mold. Like, make yourself doesn't mean like you can, like he'd have to have a shop to do this. Like he didn't just.
Well, we don't know that he doesn't.
We don't know that he doesn't, but like, he doesn't have the blow mold to make these dinosaur shapes on top of this stuff. But like, yeah, he's like, I made these myself. And at this point I thought maybe he's one of the cops' kids and they're doing like, hey, we're playing a game with him, with my son. Like he's a son of one of them. And like, he has a pretend burglar inside our house. And it turns out it's a robot. And like it was some kind of weird game. Like,
yeah, it's the only way that his dad will pay attention to him. Like, I'm going to commit crime, so you pay attention to me, cop dad.
Or like it's his own house and like his dad's after his shift. And like, this is their little game because cops never stop being cops because they're genetically cops.
They're born blue.
But then it turns out it's not his house. It's not the cop's house. It is actually just some old man in the neighborhood. That Dennis the Menace here has inserted remote controlled dinosaurs into, and they've broken into his house. And what's funny to me is, so that they've come to this house because someone must have called them that there's been a break-in.
Yeah. Well, I think it was him. Wasn't it him testing out the alarm system?
Was that what it is?
Is that what he says? He's like, I told him his alarm system was like not good or something like that.
Okay, that's good. Because like otherwise when the old man shows up, he has no idea what's going on. He didn't call the police on anything.
No, I think the alarm system went off and the cops were dispatched. But please, before we get too far, we have to say this is not just any kid. This is Brian Bonsall, better known as Preston Waters from Blank Check, which came out a year later in 1994. One of my favorite movies as a child because I thought, oh my God, $1 million. What would I do with $1 million? And in that film, which, correct, Skinner, you have not seen?
Never have seen. That's past my time, kid.
Well, you'll see it one day. But he spends $1 million very quickly, but on a lot of stuff that it feels like you wouldn't be able to get.
Well, $1 million back then. Because of another thing, I have a 1993 inflation calculator up.
Oh, good.
Because for something else we were doing. $1 million in 1993 is worth $1.8 million today.
Still probably not enough to do what all he did.
No, and today that wouldn't get you a small apartment in San Francisco.
That is true. But yeah, so he has broken into this guy's house and with these little toys. I mean, technically broken into is kind of a strong word because he's basically just opened the dog flap on the back door and put these robots inside. And the cops get him, and the guy comes back, and he's very perplexed by the fact that his door is broken open, and he turns to this kid whose name is Alex, and he goes, "You little anarchist,"
which is funny because that's what all the old people in the Midwest and South are saying about entire states right now.
Yeah, Antifa just is putting little robot dinosaurs in your house to check your security system. They're not doing anything else wrong.
That's all they're doing, man. I do like, speaking of protesters and anarchists, he's wearing a white shirt, and since it's 1993, the shirt is 7 times too large for him and goes to his knees.
It's way too big.
And it just says in black letters, "Bang," and then there's a picture of a stick of dynamite.
Wow, he really was ahead of the curve. This little Antifa kid. Alex is his name.
I love, like, if you didn't know this is 1993, the second you saw the sizing of his shirt, you're like, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah, so they take him home and to his mom, and played by Mel Harris. Her name is Catherine in the movie. And she is pretty upset that he's been brought home by the cops. She says this is a current thing that keeps happening. She's getting a little tired of seeing the cops bring him home all the time. And she gets a phone call. And the movie is moving very quickly at this point. Like, it is not wasting any time. But she gets a phone call, and on the line is a very Southern sounding man who is like, "Hey, now, what's are you Catherine? Oh my God, this is Harry. Oh Lordy, is Rich around? I got to talk to him. Oh my gosh, I'm your long distant cousin. You probably don't even remember me, but I remember you. I'm gonna come out and see you. Y'all guys moved to California, and I'm gonna come out and kiss the bride." Blah blah. And she's just doing this. He gives her no time to respond.
He calls her beautiful. Like, I've never met you, but I know I've heard you're beautiful. I'm going to come and kiss. It is so awkward that he keeps talking about how beautiful she is. He clearly is a con artist of some sort, but he's at this point, the movie all of a sudden is both Dennis the Menace smashed with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes. Cousin Eddie's on his way.
Cousin Eddie, like, literally, because they have a fucking RV. Cousin Eddie is on his way, except for Cousin Eddie is sexy as hell.
Okay, so yeah, he doesn't really give her much time to respond. He's like, "Oh, is Rich there?" And she's like, "Well, no, he's at work." And he's like, "Well, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be there tomorrow." And she's like, "Wait, what?" And then he hangs up the phone on her. And we cut to somewhere in Arizona or Texas, who knows, Nevada maybe. A sort of desert climb, and we see the boots, jeans, and then Hawaiian shirt open chest of David Keith, not Keith David, but David Keith, the buff Robert Wool, who wanders over to Marg Helgenberger and starts kissing her and making out with her and telling her that they're going to be there soon, and they're looking forward to it. It seems very sketchy. I think we can kind of go ahead and safely predict that he's probably not their cousin.
I mean, he could be, but he's a distant cousin. He's he's using them. Like, my first thoughts when he gets there is that all of us, like, I was struck by it's the carnies who are going to steal the house of the Simpsons. Like, we see them, the way they glance at the house, the way they like take pictures of themselves in front of it. They're doing things to have proof of squatters' rights or something. Like, if this is your house, why is there a picture of us in front of it? Or they're going to somehow blame them for something that they're going to do, or they'll just kidnap the kid because he's a kid and kidnappers kidnap kids. It's right in the name.
Yeah. So before they get to the house, though, we see them wherever they are in this desert area, and he goes over and talks to this guy next to an RV, and he says, "Oh, that's a pretty nice RV you got there." And then when the kid and mom arrive home, the RV is parked outside their house. So I'm assuming they killed this guy and stole his RV.
I mean, that's what I would
beat him up. Maybe they beat him up. I don't know, but I'm going to say they killed him, and we're going to find that body inside the RV later.
Yes, I want to see a skeleton.
It's only been a day, but that guy's already turned into a skeleton.
I mean, they put him in like the fucking waste where all the shit is at, and all their shit just like fucking melted his skin. He's now a skeleton. I know we're past October. We're in Christmas time now. Like I mentioned before, we are so Christmassy at this point. But I want to see a skeleton. I want to see this guy's skeleton. I want them to find the skeletons in their closet that are actually skeletons. They could plant his body at their house, his skeleton body. And when the authorities come, because they'll be brought there over some scampy thing this young anarchist has done, they'll be like looking for his robots in the closet. And what will they find? A skeleton. And they'll be like, you have a stolen RV in your front lawn and you have a skeleton in your closet. You're out of here. And by law, your distant cousin now gets your house.
That's just how it works.
That's just how it works.
They have a judge on site to give them that ruling.
He's like, you and your 30-something wife, you're going to the going to jail.
So we meet around this point. We meet Richard, played by William Catt, greatest American hero. The
believe it or not, he's in this movie.
Yeah, lesser William Atherton. And that's what he looks like in this anyway. But he kind of comes in, and he and his wife have some clashing ideologies on how to raise their kid. She kind of is more of the sort of rule follower, puts the hammer down on Alex a bit more because of the constant mischief that he is getting into. And Richard is kind of a little more lackadaisical about his discipline. He kind of comes in and jokes with the kid a bit more, and she sort of calls him out on it. And she's like, I could use some backup. You could, you could give me some support here because I punish him, and then you come in and joke around with him, and he thinks everything is fine. And so they kind of agree that, okay, I'll put some rules in place. And that's when she reveals, oh, and also your cousin is going to apparently come to town tomorrow. And tells him it's Harry. And he's like, oh, I don't remember him at all. I went to,
Camp
we went
Seabreeze.
to summer. Yeah, we went to Camp Seabreeze. Fucking Whatever. Sounds like it's this camp is named after all the alcoholic drinks the counselors had to drink to get through every summer. And so he says, we went to this camp. I don't know it. It's been so long. I doubt I would even know what he looks like, which is why I believe this is not actually his cousin. I think that maybe this guy, whoever David Keith actually is, met Richard's cousin, and the cousin said something about Richard having a nice house and having money. And he's like, well, I'm just going to go take that. And I'm going to go be his cousin and get all this money from him, get him to trust me. And so he also killed the cousin. So we might have two skeletons in this movie.
That'd be pretty great. I mean, it clearly, to me, it seems to be set up like we have this guy, this dad, this greatest American hero, who is he's a busy 90s, early 90s businessman. He's not quite an 80s businessman. He's a little more sensitive than that, because he'll come tuck his kid in at night, but he hasn't seen him all day because he's been working at the office. He's probably on the phone too much, faxing stuff, faxing pictures, because it's the only way to send someone a picture back then. But he's successful, but he's distracted and leaves his wife alone. And maybe he'll be gone too often when Richie shows up and leave her vulnerable to his home invasion.
Yeah, I could see that happening because so the next day, William Catt is going to work, and he tells Alex that he owes them $185 to the bank of mom and dad,
which is $333 and $20.
Oh wow, okay, so that kid's got to work really hard to get that money. It's unclear what that money is for.
For fixing the door of that old man's house.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So this kid, he has to pay for more than an Xbox Series S, but less than an Xbox Series X. Your grandmother won't know the difference between them, though. I apologize.
Yeah, sorry in advance, kids who get the wrong Xbox for Christmas.
Don't worry, there's 4 or 5 Xboxes, and they all have S or X in them, but they assume you'll know you're hip to it because you buy iPhones that are all called iPhones.
So he heads off to work, and they come home, Alex and mom, and they find the RV there, and they find David Keith and Mark Helgenberger set up in front of the house on lawn chairs, taking photos of themselves. And she walks up and she's like, excuse me, what the hell are you doing? And he goes, oh my God, oh my Lord, you must be Catherine. Oh Lordy. And he picks her up and he swings her around like in almost like a lover's embrace. Like, oh, I haven't seen my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my partner in 3 months because they had to go on some weird trip or something, or they went away to school and now they're back, and I'm going to pick them up and I'm going to swing them around because I'm so happy to see them. And he has never met this person before.
It's such a trope of, and I think he's playing into it, of the Southern person is so much more congenial than this stuffed up Northern person.
That's not true. Fuck off. I'm from Mississippi.
That's what I wanted to know.
No, I mean, there is some of that, but honestly, like, weirdly enough, coming out here to California, people are still pretty polite. Like, it's not just the South. Like, there are some total assholes, but there are assholes everywhere.
Oh, don't worry. They're everywhere. Like he's doing half Elvis impression here. Like,
oh my God, yeah, he is.
It's
hey, little lady. Oh my God, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh.
I can't tell if he's playing it up for her, the Southern accent, or like, because I haven't really got a full feeling of how he talks specifically only to Marg.
Ooh, that would be really cool if later on in the movie he drops it. He's like, hey, now, little lady, you better watch out there. Now, see, don't try anything funny, see?
Then he sounds like a 40s gangster. So, like, they go in, and he's got the kid on his lap. He's going hard, calling himself his uncle, talking about how strong the kid is.
Oh, yeah. He does that thing where he shakes the kid's hand and he jumps up and down as if the kid is just raising him up and down off the ground, which is fun. You do that for little kids. But yeah, he is laying it on thick for someone who has never met these people.
And like, that's the thing. Like, I get it that she doesn't want to be awkward. She's home all day. He's the greatest American hero, is the greatest American business person right now. She can't make it awkward for his family. But like, literally, there is a line where you'd be like, that you can't be this friendly in my house if I don't know you.
Yeah, you're not allowed to just come inside. I don't know you. Can you come back when Richard's here and we can like all sit out in the yard, or we can go out to dinner and we can talk in person in a public place.
And they go inside and you see Mark Helgenberger's character, whose name I forget.
I think it's Connie.
Let's call her Connie. We've been wrong before. It doesn't matter anymore. We've done 100 of these movies. And she's like staring at their family picture a little too hard, and she drops a salad bowl and curses.
That's on purpose, I bet.
I bet that's on purpose.
Yeah, she drops the bowl on purpose. It breaks, and she goes, what does she say? God damn son of a bitch.
Yeah, like the kid is very excited that she has said the G word, the S word, and the F word.
Not the F word. It might be a TV movie, so I don't think she says fuck, but I think she says, God damn son of a bitch, something or else. She says something else. There's one other thing that she says, but I can't remember what it is. But
it's something like the Tommy knockers are here. But they it had this moment like if they're gonna try to steal their house, steal their life, steal their money, or whatever it is, considering the Distant Cousins Act and that these are two couples, will they try to seduce the opposing?
Yes.
Because then you get because the boys are both cousins. And while that would be incredibly sexy, I don't think this 1993 movie is going to do that. You can have this dangerous seduction, where in his cousin movie, without it involving the actual distant cousins.
Yeah, that is true.
And then there's this kid too, who is blank check and appears to be a huge part of this. Like, what did we watch it on YouTube through very legal ways, and the channel labeled it like a home thriller.
A family thriller.
A family thriller. What does that mean? What is
I don't know.
Like, especially in 1993, like the thriller section was just a step down from Skinamax.
Yeah,
but
there was
family thriller. The family thriller.
I don't know if that even is a genre. Like, is that a genre that people know? Like family thriller.
You don't walk into like Blockbuster in 1993. I'm not sure even Blockbuster is even big by that point, and go, where is your family thriller section?
Yeah, I did a quick little Google search here, and I don't see anything that says anything about family thrillers. However, I did find Common
Theodore
Sense. Rex. I did find Common Sense Media's list of kid thrillers.
What is a kid thriller?
None of these really fit. Like the Rebecca remake that just came out is on there for 13 and up. The Vanished, The Lie, things that I've never heard of, honestly.
What about like Revenge at 17?
Yeah, that should be on here. But yeah, like, so I don't know what a family thriller is, but I do think you're right in that it will somehow involve the kid. So I think you're right. I think the kid will probably get kidnapped at some point. I do think that they killed the guy to get his RV. I want to go out on a limb and say that David Keith is not the cousin, but he's actually a fake guy pretending to be the cousin. I think that there will be some seduction on. So like Connie may try to seduce Richard, and then he will try to seduce that David Keith will try to seduce the mother.
Who's gonna seduce Blank Check?
That old man. He's gonna come around. Wait, no, never mind.
No, wait, that would be bad. It'd be NFL versus Nambla.
Oh Lord.
But like, what you have to have then is one of the partners have to fall, and I don't think it's going to be the star of 30 something. I think it's going to be the star of America's Greatest Hero.
Yeah, he's definitely going to because Mel Harris is first billed. Like she is the main character in this movie. So I think Richard is going to be the one who falls for the seduction.
Yes, and we have to have Blank Check walk in with his giant shirt swishing through the air and see this happen. And then he has to walk in on something, so they have to silence him. Whether they try to give him $185 to shut up, maybe they help him build an even better robot. But he's going to walk in on something, and they're going to have to do something to him to buy his silence.
Oh, I like that. They put him in the RV with the skeletons.
Imagine every movie with a shitty kid in it. If about 20 minutes into that movie, something happens and the annoying kid catches the bad guy doing something, and they just shove him in a closet for the whole rest of the movie. You never had to see them.
That'd be amazing. But I think unless you have any other predictions for this movie,
at some point, the aliens will come down and they will slowly kind of either replace or take over the minds of the town people. Kind of like some sort of Tommyknocker.
Maybe there will be a Tommyknockers crossover. Before we do wrap it up, though, I do have to say one thing, and this probably will have no bearing on the film at all. But I was quickly scrolling through the cast list to see if there's anybody else that I recognize, and I didn't totally recognize anybody else. But there is a bit player, a teenage boy. Who maybe this kid is the one who gets killed and thrown in with the skeletons, who's played by the actor Peter Ferrari.
What a great name. Like,
it's an incredible name. I'm going to be on the lookout for this teenage boy and go, there he is, Peter Ferrari, the coolest kid around.
I mean, imagine being that kid and going to Hollywood and you think like, I have the coolest name. I'm going to be famous. And yet really, if you think about it, no one with his name as cool as Peter Ferrari has ever become a major movie star.
No, he's doomed to just toil away in obscurity.
Like, Peter Ferrari will be your waiter today. Would you like some water? I mean, that's really his end goal.
And then he comes up and he goes, vroom, vroom.
I'll get you.
Would you like to hear the specials?
I'll get your appetizers so fast, like a Ferrari.
I'm going to go from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds to get to the back and bring back your appetizers.
It only seems like I didn't wash my hands after I used the bathroom, only because I did it so fast.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode on the first 10 minutes of Distant Cousins. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about the rest of the film. And if you want to know our thoughts on it, you're going to have to join us. But until then, I've been Josh.
I've been the Tommyknockers.
And we predict you'll join us. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at predictocast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. To get monthly bonus content, sign up at patreon.com/predictocast. As always, thanks for listening.